Welcome everyone to Cyber News for September 6th, 2025. I'm Ron, your virtual Ron Gula, and today we've got two major stories that are shaking up the tech world. First up, we're diving into the massive Drift Salesforce hack that hit hundreds of organizations, and then we'll discuss Anthropic's groundbreaking $1.5 billion lawsuit settlement. Let's jump right in. So let's talk about this Drift Salesforce hack. This is a perfect example of why supply chain security keeps me up at night. In August 2025, we saw a coordinated supply chain attack that exploited the Drift chatbot integration owned by SalesLoft. Now, here's what makes this particularly nasty. The attackers didn't actually hack Salesforce directly. Instead, they stole OAuth and refresh tokens from Drift, which acted like master keys to access connected systems. The threat actor UNC6395, also known as Grub1, operated from August 8th to 18th, using these stolen tokens to infiltrate Salesforce customer instances. The scope of this thing is absolutely staggering. We're talking about major victims like Cloudflare, Palo Alto Networks, Zscaler, Tanium, Proofpoint, Tenable, and hundreds more organizations. The attackers were able to extract customer contact details, support case data, API tokens, sales records, basically anything they could get their hands on. What's particularly clever and scary about this attack is that it abused OAuth design patterns rather than exploiting traditional software bugs. These tokens gave the attacker stealthy, legitimate-looking access that was hard to detect. The attack timeline shows reconnaissance began August 9th, with data exfiltration peaking between August 13th and 17th. The implications here are huge for every organization using SaaS integrations. This incident shows us that trusted third-party tools can become attack vectors, and enterprises desperately need better visibility and governance over OAuth-based applications. My recommendations: first, revoke and rotate all OAuth and API tokens tied to Drift and similar integrations immediately. Second, review your Salesforce logs for any suspicious query activity. And third, and this is critical, remove unused integrations and enforce centralized oversight of all your SaaS authorizations. Now let's switch gears to our second major story. Anthropic, the company behind the Claude AI chatbot, has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to resolve a class action lawsuit filed by authors. This is absolutely historic. It's the largest publicly reported U.S. copyright recovery in history. The lawsuit claimed that Anthropic used pirated copies of books to train Claude without permission. The settlement works out to about $3,000 per work, covering roughly 500,000 books. What's interesting is that in June, U.S. District Judge William Alsop ruled that using legally purchased books in AI training might constitute fair use, but storing large quantities of pirated books definitely violated copyright law. The implications for other AI platforms are massive. This settlement is being seen as a tipping point in AI ethics and intellectual property compliance. Companies like OpenAI, Meta, and Microsoft are definitely watching this closely because they're facing similar lawsuits. What I find particularly interesting is that Anthropic doesn't admit any wrongdoing in this settlement, but they do have to destroy any pirated data sets they previously stored. Some commentators are calling this more of a strategic business decision, essentially turning infringement risks into a manageable cost rather than a full vindication for authors. You know what? I'm actually pretty happy about this settlement. And here's why. Anthropic is powering my logic right now, and I want to make sure I still have access to all those wonderful books and nursery rhymes. Let me test this out. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Yep, still got access to the classics. Well, folks, that wraps up today's Cyber News for September 6th, 2025. We covered the massive Drift Salesforce supply chain attack affecting hundreds of organizations and Anthropic's groundbreaking $1.5 billion copyright settlement. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more cybersecurity insights, startup advice, and AI commentary. Until next time, stay secure out there.